So you go from rising in the ranks as a manager at this strip club.
Yes.
To where?
After that, I became a small business reporter.
Oh, that's right.
For Black Enterprise magazine.
You got into journalism.
Got into journalism. Why? Because I did the interview, and I actually interviewed to be a programmer there. And they were just like, yeah, we can't meet your salary demands. And they literally looked at my resume and was like, oh, you got an English degree? You want to be a reporter? And I was like, I don't really want to be a reporter, but Con Edison is on my ass, so I'll take that.
So wait a minute. So at what point, so this is where I should introduce the premise of your brain being a special brain. And I say that in the way of, not only do you have a command of the English language, you're incredibly quick, you're as fast and as spontaneously funny as anybody I've ever met. And so when does that actually become part of your goal? I'm going to use this thing that I can do, that I've established interpersonally at all of these stops. Mm-hmm. The lot full of abandoned cars and dead rats, the public library, the strip club, all of it. When do you realize, this is actually my calling?
Ever since I was a child, my parents were like, no, you've always just been like super funny and witty. And it never really struck me as something special. And then one day, I think it was at Black Enterprise, I remember, shout out to my man, Darren Sands, the Sandman. He was like, you're funny. And I was like, okay. I was like, everyone's funny. And he's like, no, you're funny. And also, this is the wildest story. I always tell this to like people I date.
It's an honor.
When I was in 7th grade, my English teacher, shout out to Leslie Ashold in Lehman High School. She's like, I need to talk to you. She takes me into the student lounge, the teacher's lounge, and she's like, your life is going to be difficult because you're going to be famous.
Wow.
And I was like,
that's a dangerous thing to tell a kid. Not just because you're putting the thought of like, hey, celebrity is in your future, but also like, if you're not,
you failed.
You're now haunted by this prophecy.
Like, I didn't live up to it. But even that, like, I just thought that I didn't take that. Like, I was just like, okay, I left the office. I was like, that was weird. And I never thought about it ever again. Until like maybe one day, I think it was like, we had performed at the Apollo sold out show.
Yep.
And I was coming off that, and I was like, holy shit, Leslie also called this. So shout out to you, Leslie. I hope you're still alive.
Absolutely. If you're out there, please write into Pablo Torre Finds Out. We have a voicemail line.
But yeah, so Darren was like, you're funny. And like, I was doing my tweets because I hated working in the office.
That's where I encountered you, of course, is on Twitter. Twitter, of course, all of the hellscape aspects are obvious to everybody now. But when it was good,
it was great.
I regard you as being one of the reasons why. Truly.
Thank you. Like, I am a baby of Twitter. I was on there from like almost day one of Twitter.
Yes.
The way you used to use Twitter was like, it started as like kind of like a journal to yourself, but then you started tweeting to a general audience. And I remember there were days I was doing like 50 tweets a day. My day at Black Enterprise was literally like, I'd be there for the 9 a.m. meeting, and I go to my desk, and I go to LinkedIn, I go to Indeed, I go to Monster, because I was trying to get the fuck out of there. I hated that job. And I just tweet about it every day, because it was like, imagine like, you have talents, but this is what you have to do to pay the bills, and just the resentment you have. And it's kind of like, you don't want to like show that to your coworkers, but you know in your heart of hearts.
Yeah.
But you don't know what the next thing is going to be. But the whole time I worked there, I was like, nah, something else is coming.
No, you have that look. You have that look that those masturbators at the library had. Just like staring at a screen.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're up to something. At what point? I mean, I guess we know sort of where the story goes from there on some level. Because you and Mero hook up and you become a duo that I loved as a podcast duo.
Because they did wife swap. We've done house swap. We're going to do Pinot swap. Where you switch your porn collection with another person at your job. And then afterwards you talk about it.
And I want to yada over some of this because I want to catch people up to today. Because today you are doing something that I relate to. But I also wonder if you found scary, which is like life as a soloist.
It's different because there's certain people who will never see you as a soloist. They're always going to be like, like you hear Desus, and most people are like waiting for the Mero.
Yes.
And it's kind of like,
you've disappointed them.
Yes, and I totally get it. I totally get it. We made a product they really enjoyed. We're no longer making it.
Yeah, a hit show on Viceland, a hit show on Showtime,
Hit podcast.
a hit podcast.
#1 New York Times bestseller book.
Yo, and for real, like the stuff that I would listen to and watch when I wanted to feel better about my day, because you guys were always funny, always enjoying yourselves.
It was fun to make.
And so now, right, in the aftermath, I wanna just get into like, so what do you say on the street? Like, how do you respond?
I mean, it depends what moment you catch. Because sometimes the thing is, like, I don't walk around as Jesus. My name is Daniel. I'm a regular person. If you see me in the street, I'm doing regular stuff. Like the other day, I was in the supermarket. They're like, "Holy shit, Jesus, you still shop?" I'm like, "Dog, I'm not at the point I have like an assistant. Like I have to still go to the superfood and get bread and cheese." So, like I don't have scripted answers. Like I'm very earnest when you meet me. Like I'll, sometimes I explain stuff to people, but it's very much like, "Yo, thanks for rocking with it."
Yeah,
Like
keep it
I'm not
moving.
going into like that.
Right. And to what extent? Because like going from duo to soloist, inside of that is the challenge of now I almost need to reintroduce myself.
Absolutely. And like after the show ended, I didn't do any press, no interviews.
Right.
Like I just lay low.
This is like a rare appearance from Desus, from Daniel and Desus today.
Yeah. I'm like, because it's right now, like I'm reintroducing myself. I just hosted a Daily Show. It's time for some financial news. The Daily Show is a serious show. I know some people expect me to come on here and do my thing where I just roast people that I have beef with, but this is a serious show. This is a serious chair, serious desk, and now I'm gonna give you some important financial news. So important, I have to put on my spectacles. I report on the serious financial news.
Popular radio host DJ Envy now distancing himself from an alleged multi-million-dollar fraud scheme.
And, like now I'm starting to do more press. I have some more projects about to announce.
What can we say about projects to announce?
I can't say anything because in Hollywood, if you talk about projects before all the T's and P's are crossed, they're not going to happen.
Yeah.
And also NDAs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to be out here and promise something that I'm not sure. But we got stuff coming, and you guys are going to enjoy it.
All I will say is that I'm incredibly excited for you.
I'm excited, too, because I miss being in front of a camera. I've had a million jobs. Imagine finding a job you love.
Exactly.
Imagine finding the thing you're really good at. I love making TV. I love hosting. I love the people around me that host. I love the whole nature of a set. I love hair and makeup, the driver, the PAs, the interns, the writer's room.
You're giving halftime speeches to people again.
Yes.
You're
and
gathering them and man, you're leading it. You want to lead a team again.
Exactly. And this is like one thing I always said, especially on any show I've worked on, the people I work with are not staff. They're family. And the thing is, like, I make sure there's, like, no ranking order. Like, there's no one, hey, you can't talk to me because you're a PA or an intern. Like, oh, these are writers only. Or, like, I'm talent. Don't look me in the eyes. Like, we never have that. Like, I always have an open door. Anyone can come talk to me. And even on the last show, I remember just, like, giving a very impassioned speech. Like, yo, I want to thank y'all for making this show. Like, every day we show up, we make an incredible show. And, people see my name and the title, and they think it's just me and Mero. And it's like the amount of people, it was 80 people. And 80 people made that show, and every person did a part to make that incredible show. And it's just like, just being able to reach out to them and be like, yo, thank you for doing this means the world. And so I can't wait for whatever's next.
So what's the biggest difference for you? Because I've learned some about myself being a guy with my name in a title of a show,
right?
In this weird psychedelic studio with you. What is the biggest difference that you've experienced as to your vision of who you are now going alone?
Well, that's a good question. Well, definitely, I want to say end of season 3 of my former show, I started therapy. And that's really helped me not only like to keep the show on the air for season 4, but just navigate personal relationships. And like, you can actually, like, even my assistant, I said to her, I was like, do you see a difference in me since I started therapy? She was like, absolutely.
So what's the difference? What's pre-therapy?
Apparently I was a mess before. Apparently I was a mess. I was like, I didn't know how to handle stress. I was just like, I was just all over the place. And like now I'm much calmer, more focused. I'm definitely a better person. And also because of like stuff that happened, now I know, like, there's, the running joke, Hollywood Desus. Everyone's like, Hollywood Desus, Hollywood
right.
Desus. And the thing is, I am Hollywood Desus. People in LA will say that, and they're like, because you know how to navigate Hollywood. You know how to talk to execs. You know where to go to meet people. Like, I remember being in a room with David Nevins.
Head of Showtime.
Former head of Showtime, and other CEOs and execs. And one of them was just like, you feel comfortable here? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I see that. He was like, there's no trepidation. You're not afraid of anybody. You talk to these people as if you belong in these rooms. And I'm like, yes, I know how to navigate Hollywood. I know how to talk to execs. I know how to talk to networks. I know how to ride that fine line. And like, if you want to do content here, but the network is pushing off this, I know how to like get that wiggle room in there and like, like really make these things happen. So that's what Hollywood Jesus means to me. It's kind of like the same way I did every job at the strip club.
Yes.
I want to do every job in Hollywood. I want to direct. I want to produce. I want to score movies. I am trying to, like, the idea that Hollywood is a pool and I'm just going to put my toe in it and be like, oh, that's enough. That's wild. Like, no, I'm going to jump in that, like, the pool in LeBain, okay? Let's get it, baby.
What a reference.
That's a great reference, right?
It is.
That's such a New York reference.
It is.
I'm back.
So coming out of therapy, what I'm getting the sense of from
Shout
you.
Dr. Scott, my guy. My f***ing guy.
Well, explain. Okay, so your experience in therapy, what do you want people to know about what the biggest benefit to you has been?
Well, I was afraid to go to therapy for so long because I was just like, what if they find something even I'm not ready for?
This is kind of, by the way, my feeling about like having a true like LSD psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
Which is like, I kind of like the way things are going now, as much as there are problems I want to address.
Yeah.
What if there's something that happens to me that changes who I am?
Exactly. So I was always nervous about that. And then just going to therapy, it was just like, therapy basically is like, to put it in nerd ways,
Please.
Let's go back to my programming days.
Please.
Therapy is you learn the programming language for the operating system that's you. You learn how to actually understand what's going on. Like, you learn this emotion means this. Or if I'm feeling this, do that. Or if you're feeling stressed, here's a breathing exercise to help you get through it. And shout out to my therapist, like, that's my guy. That's my guy. Because when I first started, I was seeing him 3 times a week.
Yo, but it's truly like whenever I would, and again, it's true to how we started this episode, like me talking to you about the joy of seeing you in the street, and just like, I've always regarded you as the guy who's having a fun time.
Yeah, well, nah, for a long period, it was not that. It was like, you know what it is? The sad clown. That kind of thing. Like, you're laughing and everyone around you is laughing, and inside you're just like, shit, what the fuck is going on?